This is one of a series of public meetings we've been having for the Broward Safety Action Plan. And I see some of you are return attendees. So we're not tracking what you said before, so you can say the same thing or something completely different. So, and then some new faces we hadn't seen before. I'm James Cromar. I am a Deputy Executive Director at the Broward NPO and the project manager for the Broward Safety Action Plan for the NPO side. Christina's going to talk more about the grant and our partnership with Broward County, but so I don't say too much, I also want to let Mintang Lee say anything or present himself. He is the Deputy Project Manager for the project on the county side. Welcome. All right. I also want to introduce, we have Tracy, who's here from Florida Department of Transportation. And she's working in the safety office. And if you want to say something real quick.
Sure. So my name is Tracy. I work for FUT. I'm the Institute for Safety Engineer. So I'm the state department. I'm working on partnership with our NPOs and our and for FUT. So our office is the safety office. So like performing safety studies and also do like public work content and we heard of say like initiative. And I have some information about it. You can come to ask me for any. If we have a QR code there and there are QR upcoming events or the campaigns if you want.
So, and I think along the lines of what Tracy's saying, I think you all are here because you have something you want to say. And I'm having my chance and then Christine, and then we want to make sure that you all have a chance to say something. But I want to make sure that some of you who are very active in things that are going on all around Broward, not just in Plantation, Tracy's a good person to talk to. So make sure that you get to talk to her before you go. You can see nodding head, so that's good. All right.
It doesn't show.
With that, then I'm not going to introduce everybody else that we have. We have some other Broward County staff and community kids being here and our consultant team. And so with that, let me hand it over to Christine Fanchi, who's our project manager from the consultant side.
Thanks, James, and welcome to beautiful evening in Plantation. Thank you for having us, City of Plantation. I'll start off, next slide, with one request.
1 second. There
you go. All right, one request. We don't say the word accident anymore. We only say the word crash. And I'll tell you why. When a crane downtown Fort Lauderdale last year, unfortunately, fell and crashed, we called it a collapse. We didn't say it was an accident because we know that there was a reason why a crane just collapsed in downtown, right? And unfortunately, people were hurt. When an airplane falls out of the sky, we call it a plane crash. We don't call it an accident because we know planes don't just fall out of the sky, right? And what's great about the FAA is they have had 0 fatalities for a really long time because they are accountable to if something does happen. A few years ago, there was one lady, right? And everybody was like all hands on deck to make that back to 0, right? So in the transportation world that we're working in, we want to make sure that we are accountable as individuals driving, walking, but also individuals designing, planning, operating our system to be accountable to why crashes happen and make people accountable. And everyone can change their language today, hopefully, and eliminate the word accident. We don't say traffic accident anymore, okay? We say crash because we want to hold everyone accountable for their actions so that we can get to 0 fatalities together. So if you take away one thing tonight, that's the one thing. And I hope that you will tell your friends and your family because we can do this together through changing our language. All right, next slide. So as James mentioned, good news. Broward was awarded a $5 million Safe Streets and Roads for All grant, one of the largest in the whole nation for us at Broward to make safer streets. It's obviously a partnership, as we mentioned, with Broward County. They put together the match for us at Broward NPO. So it's the whole county working together to achieve safer streets. Next slide. So nationally, what's happening? As you can see here, per the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, in 1975, nationally, we had 44,525 fatalities due to traffic. In 2022, we had 42,514. In 47 years, we went down less than 5%. Okay, we've got to get to zero. So I just wanted to say nationally, this is the status, but we have all this funding coming down. The feds are ramped up. We're doing a lot of good stuff. So kind of what's next? So we've got the safety action plan, where our goal is to prevent traffic fatalities and serious injuries throughout Broward County. And we see too many of these signs on the side of the road. I'm sure many of you have seen these signs. That means somebody has died due to traffic, due to collisions and crashes. So we don't want to see any more of these going up. So today. Okay, next slide. So pop quiz, fun stuff. Is Broward County's fatal crash rate more similar to France or Egypt? What do you think? You're not Louis. You're not Louis. You're Louis. Sorry. Go ahead. Yes. France. Okay. All right. Next slide. Let's see who's right. So unfortunately, it's not France.
Oh.
France has a traffic deaths per 107.8 deaths per station. And France is 5. So we are more than double France. Right? So next slide. Closer to Egypt is the answer. Again, Broward County is at 11.8. You can see us in kind of the middle here. Egypt is at 12.8. We're on the list with Bangladesh, Turkey, Mexico, Russia, Philippines. List with Canada, France, Australia, Japan, Germany, Sweden, Norway. Interesting, right?
Yep.
So we have a lot of work to do. Next slide. So we've done a lot of analysis for Broward County, as we said. That's our jurisdiction for this study. Between the years of 2018 to 2022, excluding freeways, so not 95, 595, Sawgrass, 75 Turnpike, 250,729 crashes in those 5 years. Yes, wow is right. 50,000 crashes a year.
Let me ask you this.
Yes,
The other number you showed us, 40-something thousand.
yes. That's
The
fatality.
comparison between 75 and 74. Those are only in highway?
Those are nationally
In highway.
killed. Those are people killed nationally.
But,
That's everywhere.
Highway?
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere.
Area?
Everywhere.
Oh.
Yep, the 44.
And there is only crashes.
This is crashes on streets. The 250,000 is all crashes. And then if you jump down to the middle, 4,832 people are either killed or seriously injured in those 5 years. Okay? So we've got people a year in Broward alone, either killed or seriously injured. Every week in Broward, we have 4 people killed and another 18 seriously injured.
That's too much.
137 crashes every day in Broward. Anyway, this just makes me scared to drive. Like, oh my gosh. So out of those numbers, I want to talk about, bring it down to the people. Out of those, almost 5,000, it's 1,014 loved ones that were killed, right? Brother, sister, mother, child that were killed. 1,000 people in 5 years, right? So about 200 a year killed. Can't feed their family, like all that. Another 4,702 were seriously injured in those 5 years. But seriously injured means life-changing. They lost a limb, they were paralyzed, they broke something enough so they can't walk right again, so life-changing injuries. So these are the most serious. And then kind of on a good note is this last stat of 77% of the killed and serious injury crashes happen on only 6% of our roads and bridges. So we have done a lot of data analysis to understand kind of where we need to attack to get the most bang for our buck. make sure that we're saving those lives. Next slide. This is kind of an additional information to understand the problem. There are only 2% of the crashes. Out of the 250,000 crashes, 2% equals the 4832 number I gave you. Okay, that's the number. This 2% is the number I want to get to 0, right? Two percent of crashes have an economic cost on our communities of 61%. The firemen, the ambulance, the police, all the traffic, you know, if I pass away, you know, my loss of income to feed my family, you know, all the revenue generated together is 61%. Now that's revenue that our communities could be using to doing other things, right? So instead of spending on those resources, maybe we could do something else. So thinking about if we can just get the 2% to 0, we could save 61%. This other number is 76% of our crashes are no injury. They're fender benders. So out of the 250,000 crashes that I shared, 76% of those are no injury, right? They're fender benders, they're property damage, but nobody's getting hurt. And then the number between, if you're doing the math, between those two numbers are possible injury, minor injuries. So we can do this, 2%, we can do this. So through our federal grant, we're using a paper streets. It's called the Safe System Approach. As you can see, it's organized into these 5 buckets: safe road users, safe vehicles, safe speed, safe roads, and post-crash care. I'll just highlight the principles are around the edge there, and you can read those through, but I really like to highlight what I mentioned earlier. The responsibility is shared, right? We all have a responsibility as we travel through the system, whether we're walking, biking, driving, to make sure that we're abiding by the rules, we're being safe. But we also want to make sure that as engineers and planners like myself, Jose's an engineer, we're designing streets that create better outcomes, right? So how can we create that? And that's why we're here tonight. We want to hear from you tonight about the issues that you're seeing so that we can design a street that provides a better outcome, right? So it takes a whole system, and we're all responsible. So, nice. Analysis, we created a high injury network. We also created a high risk network and did an equity analysis. Here's the equity analysis. And through that, we did a long project prioritization. Those 6% of streets that I mentioned, roads across Broward, they're owned by the state, the county, and the cities. So we have a really long list. But through that project prioritization, we were able to select priority corridors. That's 441. Of course, it's a state-owned street. Like Tracy can be in here. But there's a lot of work to do. So, next slide. This is an image of our high injury network. This is all of Broward County, of course. The background with the purple is our equity analysis, which is here. So it's really showing to come up and look at this after the presentation. And then the red lines on top are our high injury corridors. So a lot of our major corridors, as you would guess. Next slide. So through our project prioritization, we were able to select 11 corridors. It's over 20 miles. That's going to be given this kind of extra lens of safety analysis and design. The red ones are our city streets. So we've got Southwest 10th and Deerfield, Royal Palm, Rock Island, and Margate, Sistrunk Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, and then Taft Street, Hollywood. Our green ones are our county streets, 31st Avenue and 19th Street, and then West Broward Boulevard. And then our blue ones are our state corridors. So the state owns East Broward Boulevard, downtown Fort Lauderdale, 441 here in Plantation, and then Sterling Road. So those are 11 that we're going to be doing the same exercise and creating safer streets concepts. About 441, the corridor that we're really diving into that we saw a lot of issues is between Davie Boulevard and Sunrise Boulevard. As you can see, we've got the crash board right here in front, so I would love for you to come visit. But in just this quarter, we're seeing 277 crashes every year. This segment, which is wild. In the last 5 years, in the middle, you can see we've had 6 people fatally killed, and then another 59 seriously injured. So this one was at the very, very top of our list of corridors, because of that. You can see the orange dots are pedestrian fatality and serious injury. The light blue, I don't know if you can see that. The light blue dots are bicyclists. The like amber orange dots, yellowish dots are motorcycles. And then the navy blue is motor vehicle. So you can see we've got a lot, on this corridor, we've got a lot more pedestrians being hurt on this corridor compared to others. But we do have, we're thinking about everybody, trying to save lives. This road is posted 45 miles an hour. Most of the crashes are happening during the day, 68%, but a high percentage at night, 32% are happening at night. We've got most of the crashes happening at intersections, 59%. We have most days here in Plantation. And then you can see the behavioral factors on the bottom right, really, that were on the crash reports. We've got 6% distracted driving, 2% alcohol and drugs, so pretty low, but a really high percentage of speeding, 21% speeding, which is higher than we were seeing on other corridors. So these are just indicators that from our crash reports directly, they're kind of telling us the story of what's happening on this corridor, so we can have just more informed map. You can see our 7 equity indicators are older adults, younger adults, below poverty level, limited English proficiency, people with disabilities, ethnic minority, and racial minority. And you can see as the colors get brighter, there we need to be a couple of those communities more. So you can see kind of the ones that jump out. Obviously, racial minority, youth is pretty bright. Limited English, but then also interesting enough, people with disabilities on the south end and then on the west side. So really think about who's using the corridor. We've got a lot of transit. We were out on the street this morning, walking the corridor, really assessing the existing conditions. A lot of transit users. So really thinking about, there's a lot of pedestrian fatalities, unfortunately. We've got transit users. We've got people with disabilities. Who this corridor is serving. Tonight, we want you to come out to the boards, and we really want to ask you this question. What roadway safety concerns are you having using? And really point out exactly where you're having those issues. We have 3 ways that you can give comments. You can come up, and we'll take notes, and we'll point, and we can draw together. The second way is we have comment cards back in the back, way out. And then the third way is our website, the Safe Streets, number 4, Broward.org. Here's the QR code. We'd love for you to go on there. We have a virtual map of the whole county, and you can go all over. I would love to see a lot of comments. We want to make safe streets everywhere. So those are the 3 ways. Next slide. So what's next? This is our fast schedule, but I'll just say on the top, we're going to bring concepts back to you in the early 2025. Hopefully Jim Ward will have us back in this room, make it easy. And we'll bring you a concept of what we've come up with based on your comments tonight and the safety analysis. And then next summer, we plan to adopt the plan. Next slide. So the best ways to stay involved, we've got 3 ways. You can go on our website, like I mentioned. On the website, we actually have 3 opportunities there, and you can make a safety pledge where you pick behaviors that you'll do, like wear my seatbelt, wear my helmet, good stuff like that. We have the pointed out map concerns, like I just mentioned. Go in there and point out any concerns that you have. And then the third thing we have is a dedication page for anyone who has lost their life to traffic. Love to have that. So we plan to dedicate this whole plan to those folks. So we'd really like, if you know anyone, we'd like to dedicate the plan to. So there's an opportunity there. You can follow us on social media. Broward MPO has Speak Up Broward on Facebook. They have Broward MPO on LinkedIn, and then Speak Up Broward on Instagram. We're doing a lot of safety awareness messages on those platforms. So we would love for you to like that and share. I'm kind of looking at Max, but I'd love for you to share anything that we're doing on your platform. And then the third way, kind of old school if you want. I'm just kind of old. Process number 4A at browardmpo.org. So these are the ways to get involved. Like I mentioned, we're hoping to be back here probably end of January, early February to present a concept. And then we're gonna wrap it up next summer. So those are the opportunities. So with that, I would love to have you guys come up to the boards. I've got Jose with me, who's leading the roadway design. So between the two of us, we'd like to answer questions and have some dialogue. So thank you very much.
Don't be shy.
It's moving this many cars.
Joe. All right, so what do you guys?
You wanna interview? I got another.
Yes, we go all.
I noticed on the presentation it was under. I think myself, that is not enough cars justifying 6 new ones.
Right.
So I think that's
So
most.
on this
Yes.
segment, I'm one of those numbers.
And I guess this is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just hate.
Right.
That is, that here is not just for like.
Yeah.
It's also for safety.
The reason was basically that's.
It'll be doing two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
I sent it out.
I was saying. Yeah, great. So,
You're right, I
the
mean,
problem was.
the challenge here, you know, is,
One of the
on
reasons.
the challenge here, like you said, yeah, this is one of the major routes for the roads, so.
And the obviously that goes.
I want to see it. You know, you're right, but that's actually.
I can ask them right now. Let me answer. Oh, you're gonna go? All right.
So I guess it's really frustrating.
So those are.
Exactly. And so another problem that we hear. Yeah.
Those city councils in this area so in this area.
Yeah. So. If you're here, that's the biggest, so I already. That's a segment of 41 as an ADA of under 40,000 cars a day. And that is not enough. And I was using it as well, to justify.
It took 2.5 hours to figure out to get an officer right at the park.
Because you look at other roads versus here.
Which they say is right.
Double that, yeah.
But there's definitely more. Every car is getting to it.
So they were working out is that the county has a plan with figures and what's called.
It's like, I'm not sure if it's.
A couple of with that.
I'm going to end the online session for today.
Wow. Yeah.